Welcome to the Sleeping Barber podcast.
Oh boy,
Guess what, V?
it's another edition of our Barber's Brief.
It's the Thunder Show.
Or the Thunder Show. We're rebranding.
Really pushing the energy up today. This is going to be awesome.
Taking it to a whole other decibel level.
Yes!
For all the ears out there, be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. Welcome back to another episode of our Barber's Brief. If you're a new listener, we use this forum to discuss things that have caught our eye over the last couple of weeks, highlighting a marketing moment, or really it's a case study. We get into an audience Q&A sometimes. let's be real here. And then, of course, we love to highlight and talk about Ad of the Week. Probably our favorite segment. It's really exciting. Mark, how are you doing this glorious morning here in Calgary, Alberta?
The sun is shining.
Sun is shining.
Yeah. I got a hug from my kid this morning. That was great. And,
Yeah, that's always a win.
Yeah, overall, I'd say things are good.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. If I could just cut off my foot from this gout,
Let's...
then I'd be even happier. But anyway,
Poor guy.
that's the whole side.
Poor guy. Okay, let's kick off in the news. I think you're up first. What'd you find?
Well, Professor Colin Powell's posts a
classic.
lot of stuff, and a lot of it is really good.
He is
I
really
think I'm
good.
featuring two of his today. Well, shares anyways of his.
That's
So
amazing.
one post that he had put up or reshared was, how are consumers on Amazon reacting to tariff news? Which was, the original was from John Shea, who's at Momentum Commerce. Anyways, they analyzed the top products on Amazon and found that the average selling price is down, and not because brands are lowering prices, but because people are changing what they buy. So they're seeing a couple different behaviors that's not too dissimilar from like our period of COVID.
Okay.
So one hand, there's people that are stockpiling. So there's things like baby formula, olives and antipasto, yoga and clothing supplies, massive increases week over week in terms of stocking up behaviors, sales spikes.
Sure.
People are trading down on things like diapers and vacuums and floor care products. There's a dip in average selling price for the top 1,000 products in those categories.
Wow.
And most of there's some really interesting information about consumers are buying, especially in diapers, buying cheaper brands, and the leading brands that were leading before are actually increasing prices, but are seeing a decrease in volume. So not shocking, but just interesting seeing the consumer behavior. Under the affordable luxury side of things, so skincare, they lump skincare and pet products together, but those two categories, people are, especially in skincare, consumers are tolerating a higher average selling price, and so
they're okay to pay more.
Yeah, I think in some cases there are categories that, you know, it's those little moments of luxury that people are looking for that they don't want to give that up yet. And then there's a suggestion that dust off the old COVID playbook, which is to renegotiate with suppliers, selectively raise prices, accelerate shipments before tariffs start if you can, and then track consumer behavior more frequently rather than going monthly or quarterly. Look at it weekly if you can, because things are changing pretty quick. So that was that.
I mean, it's funny. I don't think I ever would have gone down this rabbit hole thinking about this way, but like this, it feels like this tracks. I think we can all depict behaviors that have changed in terms of our purchase behavior. Our purchase behaviors have changed with the lack of uncertainty and things to that effect. But I mean, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Even on the home builder side, and we have a friend who's a home builder down in the States, and I know they've been loading up on things like lumber. Yeah. And OSB and stuff where they can, right?
Yeah.
Without carrying too much of it because they're just worried about jacking up the prices and messing up someone's budget.
I have some maintenance that I need to do our cars, and I'm just like trying to get sourcing parts before, I don't know, parts go up or whatever. And anyways, it's little things like that people start thinking about. Totally.
What do you got?
All right. So I also have a LinkedIn article actually from Dr. Augustine Fu from Fu Analytics. Yeah. It was the title that got me actually, but it was actually a good read. So the title reads, "Targeting and Retargeting Looks Like It's Working, but Worse for Incremental Outcomes." And of course, I think if you're naturally inquisitive, you'll probably pick up on this very quickly. But let me kick off here quickly. So digital marketing has long promised, the right ad to the right person at the right time. Do you remember Freddie used to say that all the time?
Yeah.
But that might be the worst strategy for driving real business growth. Now, The article goes in to explain why. So most digital advertising looks like it's working because platforms take credit for sales that would have happened likely anyway, right? So from inflated ROAS metrics to attribution tricks, marketers are often misled by performance, and that isn't truly incremental. The problem is because incremental sales, so those that wouldn't have happened without an ad, are the only ones that actually grow the business. Now, where have we heard that before? Reach matters. The 4 key takeaways from the article itself. So it's over-attribution is rampant. Ads often get credit just because they were the last click, not because they caused the sale. Retargeting can be wasteful. Serving ads to people who already know your brand or recently purchased rarely drives new revenue. Ad fraud and attribution games, where you're having some vendors manipulate reporting to look like they're driving in-store traffic or conversions when in actuality they're not. And that's something actually I want to try to dig more into, the footfall analysis that a lot of these publishers are providing now. But anyways, true growth comes from awareness. Channels like YouTube, Demand Gen, and Meta. Awareness campaigns are more likely to reach net new customers and deliver incremental impact. So what really moves the needle? Incrementality, is that means new customers, new sales driven by awareness, not reminders. The most incremental tactics, demand gen, YouTube, top funnel meta campaigns. And we see that too. Like social is really strong in that area. The least, retargeting, branded keywords, coupon codes, tactics that often chase buyers who are already on their way.
Yeah.
So I think this is just more of a PSA, book service announcement or a reminder that, let's cool our heels on some of those other, what we always would define as lower funnel tactics and pretending that it's working when in actuality they may not be.
It's really eye-opening to see more and more of this stuff come out because almost the entire promise of digital is that we can reach that person, right?
Totally.
And you think you can get in-market buyers in an infinite number of permutations and combinations. 46-year-old who has kids, who drives a minivan, like all
Runs
that stuff is possible to target. But yeah, exactly. But then it turns out it's actually not as good as you think. There's also something we had Ethan Decker on a long time ago.
Yeah.
I saw a post from him recently about a survey that was put in market. They instead of actually running ads, the ad unit was a survey question.
Okay.
Asking the people they were targeting if that's who that person was.
That's right.
Yeah. So they got 2,500 responses. And like as an example, male, female, they got right half the time.
Oh, there you go.
Age, if you're over 45, they got wrong. They only got right 40% of the time. If you were married, they got that right like 30% of the time. So it's crazy. It's worse than a coin flip in most cases.
In most cases, yeah.
So it's funny that, and then hearing things with Dr. Fu and, all the things that we talked about with 60-40 and
totally
595 and all that kind of stuff really plays a role.
Totally. This next one is really interesting. So what did you find?
EA's viewership shakeup means what it means for fans and advertisers. Yeah, you're a basketball guy. This is a relatively new story to me. I thought it's kind of interesting. Cord cutting's a thing. People are cutting cords. Teams like NBA teams, hockey teams, baseball teams, whatever, I'm sure, have all had historically like these exclusive and lucrative regional TV deal networks. In the case of Portland and Chicago, they made this example in the article that Portland walked away from one of those deals. They had $20 to $25 million deal a year, $25 million a year deal, I should say. And they left that in favor of a more open streaming service. So they're allowing local fans, to watch every game live on local TV or on their app. So they're streaming.
Yeah.
And they had the biggest viewership increase in the NBA this year, so 116%. In comparison, the Bulls moved to a more closed model, like the regional network, what we talked about through the Chicago Sports Network. And they saw the biggest viewership decline, in part because fans can't find the game because of the exclusivity of these streaming rights.
Yeah.
So from a point of view of fans, it's great having more open. It reminds me so much of physical availability. You're just making your product available.
You just took it out of my mouth. I love this. Yes.
Yeah. And then Portland expects to make the money that they lost from the TV deal back in 2 to 3 years, following a version of a retail media model, and then layering in different kinds of programmatic ad targeting tools. So yeah, it's really interesting thinking about the team itself, and then the rights of the team, and how you can distribute all the games to the team.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you found this article, because there's a few things that's happening with the NBA. Obviously, it's in I guess you would call it like a recessive state. The product itself isn't as like it once was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not as strong anymore. You have some big movers, if you will, that kind of help with building a lot of that. You had Luka Doncic now moved to the Lakers, a very controversial trade. But the reality is the product isn't allowing for that excitement that once existed. If you think about like circa 90s, 2000s basketball, it's like everyone was tuning in. But also it was before things started becoming a little bit more gated. So if you want to watch NBA games, you have to either get the NBA TV app, but then you won't have access to, say, maybe your local team, because those rights have been scooped up by not a local channel, but it could be local providers. So like here in Canada, we have Sportsnet and TSN are two primary. The only way I can watch that is if I have a subscription service to them, or I subscribe to a traditional like cable box kind of idea. But if I want to watch other teams, also makes it difficult, because again, who owns the rights to those to those deals? So I applaud what Portland is doing, giving access to the local community, because the local community is what's going to actually fund your operation more than anything else. Prioritize local first, and then of course make the game more available. So I hope that the NBA looks at this, a hard, long look at this. I know Amazon is slated to earn some of the rights of the NBA moving forward, I think as of 2026. We had the big fallout with TNT and, Chuck, Charles Barkley, oh my goodness, Ernie Johnson as well. Like they were just really great for the sport, and just the way they commented on the games after the fact. They were like very lighthearted, did some friendly banter, etc. But because TNT lost the rights to that, now there's no one knows what's going to happen. So, anyways, there's a lot to unpack here. I just hope, like I said, people really take a long, hard look at what Portland is doing, and trying to give access back to local communities for their team, because, yeah, I think it's the right thing to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you got next here, V?
So I know we talked about this, but I found in this op-ed by Emily Jeffrey Barrett in Adweek that talked about Liquid Death and what can we all learn from Liquid Death's UK demise, if you will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
It is. And I think she brings up some very valid points that I wanted to kind of bring forward for you and our listeners. So Liquid Death exit from the UK sparked a flurry of "I told you so" posts from marketers who claimed the brand was too edgy, misunderstood the market, or scaled too fast. And I was one of them. I'm not going to pretend. I didn't post about it, but I used this platform to talk about it. But here's a twist. Liquid Death actually didn't fail. It made a strategic move based on economics, not branding. So Emily goes on to say, to explain that it pulled in $2 million in revenue with minimal marketing in its first year in the UK, outperforming many brands. The real challenge was rising costs after shifting manufacturing to the US, which eroded margins. So they pulled back. That's not failure, that's strategy. So what can marketers actually learn from this? The four key lessons are: marketers are not the audience. Just because a brand is hot in agency meetings doesn't mean it matters to real people. The industry's obsession with Liquid Death doesn't reflect its penetration in mainstream. Cool does not equal commercial success. I think that's a very, very valid point that we often have to remind ourselves with. Second was disruption needs context. So Liquid Death thrived in the US because it disrupted plastic culture and leveraged counterculture branding. But in the UK, alternatives to plastic were already common, and the humor didn't always translate. Being interesting isn't enough. The third reason is distribution does not equal brand building. So in the US, the brand earned attention through grassroots stunts and cultural moments. In the UK, it launched straight into retail without first earning relevance. Big swings need build up. And then finally, premium pricing needs a premium story. In a cost of living crisis, charging £5.50 for canned water without a deep brand connection or superior product is tough sell. People need a reason to care and to pay. So the bottom line is this: Liquid Death is still a success story, but its UK chapter shows its market nuance. Brand building fundamentals and understanding real people matter more than being the industry favorite brief reference.
Yeah. There's some interesting things in there for sure. And I saw somebody else post about this, and maybe it was the one we talked about before, but just assuming that you can copy and paste one plan into another new market isn't always going to work.
No.
And I think there's a reality when you get into like a new market like the UK. It is different from the US.
Totally.
And so your life cycle stage is different. Your like early adopter phase rather than maybe latent majority or whatever the thing is. And so, yeah, playing the right playbook for the right stage of the consumer life cycle is really important because, yeah, all those things you talked about are really, it's tricky. You can't just assume everybody knows you because you've got a lot of hype and buzz around you.
Which also, I would argue, puts into clear focus the role of earned media. Like, even though a lot of these marketing outlets would have been covering it, talking about it, why it's so good, etc., marketing success, the playbook, tear a page out of the playbook of Liquid Death, etc., it didn't actually help anything on the distribution side, or especially in the UK, for example, right? So anyways, I think it's interesting. It also showcases something on the supply chain side when they moved everything to the US, which then eroded margins. Profitability matters.
Totally.
So
there's that stupid word again.
See, it keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a lot there, but I think it's always a good reminder. Always a good reminder.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready for the
marketing moment. Yeah, again, this is another one I saw from Professor Cohn-Pauls.
There he is.
This time he reshared an analysis, a case study from a guy named Daniel McCarthy. He's an associate professor of marketing.
Okay.
On Peloton.
Peloton.
So just kind of interesting. It's not really a campaign thing. It's more just like a word of warning, I would say, or
okay.
I don't know. It's an interesting one. So 2019, around the time of their IPO, a Peloton bike sold for $2,200, a little bit more than $2,200. And that bike had a 44% contribution margin, which meant that each bike generated about $1,000 in profit.
It's not terrible.
Yeah. The gross cost per acquisition was about $1,000, which means they break even on day one. Then there's a low monthly churn rate of 0.6%. They had subscription revenue. I don't know if it was for every bike, but they also had people subscribe who didn't have bikes. Of $39 a month. And with a 43% contribution margin. So almost 17 million profit a month. At the pandemic's peak, they traded for $160 a share. So good story. Right place, right time.
Yeah, totally.
Today, the bike sells for quite a bit less, about $1,400, so almost $800 less than what it sold for then.
Ooh.
Gross margin is 5%. Bike profit went from $1,000 to less than $100. Churn rate is steadily moving up. Right now, it's about 1.4%. CAC has also gone up in the range of, let's call it $1,500, so upwards of $1,500. And then there's a bit of a good news story with the subscriptions that they're increased in price from $39 to now $44.
But the bike's cheaper. Okay.
Yeah, but and there's a higher contribution margin.
Yeah,
from subscriptions. Today, the stock is trading at $5.70 a share. So, really interesting story. There's so many different things that I've seen over time about Peloton, and at that time, they were like in the pandemic, they were the darling. They were kind of like the
Oh
liquid
my
death.
goodness, they were 100% liquid
It's a
death.
great product and it's awesome and all that kind of stuff, but they need more people to buy them. And so, going forward, the unit economics don't look great. Bikes are also in Taiwan, or produced in Taiwan, which at the moment, who knows what the tariffs situation is going to be, but there were tariffs on them. And if those stay, then they're going to be another cost on the bike. So there's actually going to be a profit loss on every bike. And so without raising money, they're going to lose, or raising prices, they're going to lose money. And without more bike users, subscriptions they've already started to stall out, and they're going to churn out. So it's really interesting. Like, for anybody who's listening, if you've got any thoughts about this, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what they could do to fix the issue. I mean, we can sit here and prognosticate around what we think the problems are or what they could do. But I do think some of it is just around not believing the hype in your own product. Like, the category was on fire.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And they could do no wrong. And so suddenly they did, like, not suddenly, over a period of a few years, they haven't been doing great. And so, but it's a good product. They just need to get more people out there buying it.
Totally. You're right. Pandemic darling. It was everywhere. Everybody wanted one. It was kind of one of those things like you just must have, because everything you were just completely removed from the world. I know you have a screenshot here in the document that we use for prep, and it doesn't go back that 6th year to kind of look at like where we were. But I feel like what that stock has done now is probably just normalized back to pre-pandemic levels, right? And I think again that was probably more indicative of what it's where it should stand. But at the same time, the one product that has grown really well, because you have a lot of hotels that have bought it as well, is like being able to access like those online instructors and things like that. So I'm not surprised that that they've increased the price on subscription to $44 versus, what was it? What'd you say?
39. Yeah.
$39.
Yeah.
And that's a very strong contributor to profitability, like from a cost perspective, with the 68% contribution margin. Like it's not terrible.
No.
And and it'll just be interesting to see how it continues to fare. I think for this to really ignite like a turnaround, you'd almost need like an Apple to step in to buy them.
Maybe
to kind of round out like their whole fitness ecosystem that they have, right?
Could be, yeah.
Introduce like new tech to the bikes. And like, I feel like it needs something like that, because I don't know if they'll get there on their own.
Yeah. It's interesting. There's a playbook there for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Out of the week, V.
Are you ready for Runner's High?
Oh, I am. I actually watched it. It's really good. I'm not a runner.
We're not.
I like the video. Yeah.
We like to dabble a little bit once in a while. But Puma just dropped their boldest global campaign yet, called Go Well, a celebration of personal expression, emotion connection, and the raw joy of sport. The actual spot is called Runner's High. And what it's really interesting, it takes what's that track called? When
I Got High.
Yeah. So it's really if you watch the commercial, it's actually really well done, because I think it creates an incredible parallel to that runner's high, or that need to kind of get out and run.
Yeah.
So basically it's celebrating everyone getting out there to run. And it's really kind of featuring their the latest tech in their footwear, in their Deviate Nitro 3 and the Forever Run Nitro 2. So obviously you have the product close-ups, etc. But I know we always often like to celebrate like the Nikes, the Apples of the world, but I thought this was a great ad by Puma, as they're looking to continue to create movers and shakers, if you will, in that space as well.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was well done. It's entertaining, and there's like the song's super fun.
The song's awesome.
Yeah,
if anything,
it ties in well with the whole runner's high idea.
Yeah,
and it's a fun, like, usually you have these like the sweat motherfucker sweat kind of thing. Like, go hard, and it kind of takes a slightly different angle with that. And partly a big part of that reason is because of the song.
Yeah, no,
it's really good.
The track makes that commercial. Yeah, because if you were to remove that, it just would look like any other commercial. But it just shows like how much like the music can make a difference. But totally. I loved it. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. Okay, V, what do we got coming up next?
Oh, we got to admit, I think we're really excited about this next episode.
Yeah.
I know, from controversy to relevance. Is that a title maybe we could use here? But we in our studio, we had Charlotte Blank, the CMO of Jaguar Land Rover, JLR.
Mhm.
And we got to talk about the elephant in the room. What was, their Type 001, I think the concept car that everyone believed went wrong in terms of releasing it. We talk about Land Rover itself and the resurgence of that brand and their latest line. I think it's going to be a really insightful episode, and I think you're going to get a lot from that. And don't always take everything for book or face value. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. So, and she also, what I really loved, we also talked about like the nuances between the North American culture and European culture, right?
Yeah.
And some of the nuances in the ads that need to be highlighted as well. So,
For sure.
I'm excited about this episode.
Me too. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, she was super entertaining. Well, super smart and brilliant and all those things. Yeah, and all those things.
All of it.
She was great. She lived up to the hype.
100%. 100%.
Okay. Well, with that,
look at this.
We are on track to go find some profit.
That's right. The sun is shining. Rays of profitability coming down here in Calgary, Alberta.
I like it. Thanks for keeping us in your ears.
Thanks, everybody. Mark, have a great day, buddy.
You too, me. Bye.
All right. Bye.